I mean, this is a century, once in a century pandemic, but these kinds of issues can lead to dictatorships, can't they, Andreas?
Yes, I think in general, pandemics are like wars in that wannabe autocrats, dictators in waiting, secretly like them because their excuses. I mean, everyone wants to be patriotic. Everyone wants to rally around the flag. Everyone wants to save lives. If anybody nuances an argument for a new measure being, then you're accused of being irresponsible. So this is a great time to put in place decrees and things like that limit our liberties. And depending on the society, depending on how much attention we, the voters, pay, maybe they outlast the pandemic.
What do you think will be the response from the rest of Europe to what we've seen in the East, and specifically in Hungary then, Andreas? What should we brace for there? I know that Luxembourg has been saying, the foreign minister there has been saying that Hungary should be thrown out of EU meetings. Is this going to be something that risks fracture in the EU?
The EU is already fractured, and you asked me what should we expect from the EU. We should expect it to be pitiful, because it always has been, always is in these cases. Jean Asselborn, the foreign minister of Luxembourg, is brave, but for him, from a small country, the fallout isn't that big, probably. But Ursula von der Leyen, the president of the European Commission, she was, as usual, much more measured. She said Europe needs to stay democratic, but she didn't even mention any country by name like Hungary. On top of that, to really censor and punish countries for this violation under the EU treaties, you'd need to have a unanimous vote. And Poland and Hungary and even some other Eastern countries, they have each other's back. So there's nothing going to happen.
Why do you think, Andreas, Donald Trump hasn't embraced, this crisis earlier? Some would call him an authoritarian leader. Is it because he's pro-business that he was worried about shutting down the economy? Because he could have taken advantage of a push for stimulus, a push to get this spending package through on roads and highways, bridges that he's been pushing for since the election.
Trump is interesting because he's not like the other leaders that, for instance, I mentioned. I do not mention him in my column. He's not the clear-cut traditional description of an authoritarian wannabe dictator. I mean, I do think he has that in him. Right now, it's been more chaos, more reality TV star, that side of his character, whereas these... Benjamin Netanyahu, the guy in the Philippines. I think the guy in Brazil would like to play dictator. In Cambodia, these are the guys who are saying, I want total power. I think Trump has not so far done anything signal that he wants to reach out and essentially get rid of liberties permanently to install himself. I think he's just drifting, and it's worse. He's clueless.